So today we're in Sydney roleplay here doing a patrol, I guess an Australian-like patrol. I do have a special guest here, so if you want to introduce yourself.
Hey, it's Producer. Maybe some of you guys have seen me around, maybe some of you haven't.
Alright, Mr. Producer, what do you do?
So essentially, in real life, I'm a youth cadet instructor for a police cadet program. So it's for ages 11 to 18, and of course I'm not 18, I am 20. So when I aged out, I became an instructor. So I essentially help facilitate the things going on within that program.
So Producer here is going to help us with our little patrol, and he's also going to be answering some cool questions that I feel like everyone would want to know, and share some of his experience. So to start off, I do want to know, like, how has everything been good as you're a cadet instructor and all? Like, how's everything been in that?
It's been a really enjoyable experience, to be honest. You know, there's always a lot more things that we can learn as an instructor. When I wanted to become like a sergeant, when I was still a cadet, I was very much assisted a lot with learning what it meant to be a leader and what it meant to improve the ways in which we teach certain things. So there's always development opportunities, but it's been very enjoyable so far.
Why don't we head down to the main city area, see if everything's going on there?
Absolutely.
Downtown is kind of dead, not gonna lie.
Uh-oh. He's coming out. It's okay, we're gonna don't reread me. Oh my god. Okay, I feel like he knows. Is this cop baiting? Okay, we're gonna do it. Thank you for helping me, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, nope, you wanna stop there, sir, and you're about to take off a pole. City won't be very happy with that. Hello, sir. What are you doing? I think that's an appropriate question. Your driving is very reckless. Wow, double R on the reckless.
Well,
gotta make sure
literal terms, double R.
A double R. I'm so sorry, officer. I need to see some ID. Now, this is something that's actually pretty unique to Australia. So in America, I believe you guys, police have to actually have like a reason to ask for your ID. Here in Australia, that isn't the case. So if police ask you for your ID, you have to give it. So mostly because there are 3 things that you need, like lawfully you must provide to police in Australia. It's your name, date of birth, and your current place of residency. So I mean, mostly that's what's on ID. So you don't like have to give your ID, but I mean it's got that information. All clear. We'll give him a warning.
Oh, don't forget to mention his headlights, because it was dark out. I mean, now the sun's coming up, but...
And turn on the headlights when needed.
Oh, I guess first traffic stop complete.
First traffic stop. It tends to be a bit interesting. Oh, but
something's going on up here.
Even more interesting. I'm gonna change the list lane beforehand so there's not a weird merge. Looks like road work, yeah. We need people to slow down.
Is that a news van?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess they're getting on the local news.
Perhaps this area of Freedom Avenue hasn't seen this line of work done on it for quite some time, so...
Yeah, they're like jackhammering some part of the road.
Another thing, it is actually not legal to go right on red, so that's, even though a feature in the game, it's why I wait.
Yeah, that's one difference between America and most things is I'm so used to turning on right. Like when I play foreign servers, I do it and I get pulled over and I'm like, oh man. While we're continuing on with the patrol, I'd like to ask, is there like any real life scenario that you're able to share publicly just about experience from cadet instructing?
What I'll say, I'll give you some of my experiences doing work experience with the police. So I wasn't an instructor at the time, but I was through the same program. I was able to get some work experience with quite a big station, more so a headquarters, and it really highlighted like really how quick things can happen. Essentially, things are happening quite slowly. and all of a sudden we get a call, and we're going to a woman who has given birth in a public bathroom. So that was quite interesting. It really did go from sort of just, looking at paperwork and, this is how we file stuff to I'm on a ride along, and that's just a woman had given birth in a public bathroom. So that was quite interesting. As a civilian, I had to stay in the car, but of course they told me everything that was going on. The nature of why the police were there were mostly because the woman didn't want to go to the hospital. And something here in Australia is, if you don't want help from an ambulance, you can quite literally just sign an iPad and the ambulance can go. However, that would then put the baby's life at risk. So the police either had to try and convince the lady to go with the ambulance, or I then render more aid, ensuring that the life of the child and also the person was okay. She ended up going with the ambulance, thankfully.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh god, we're gonna turn on our lights and go down the wrong way here. That's a bit crazy.
Something's going on.
Bit of craziness.
Yeah. So I was gonna ask you about conducting like a proper traffic stop, as we did a traffic stop. So just to put it in simple terms, are there like anything different in sorts of like how you radio it in versus, like, obviously you said like the ID thing, that's a bit different, but other than that, is anything like different?
I think universally, like, even though America and Australia are different places, it's still the world. Like, with people, with cars and buildings, like, there really can only be so many ways something can be done, I guess, right? So like, generally speaking, it'd be decently similar. I guess two main things to say. So we, of course, do have the generalized traffic stop. And then rather than a felony stop, because we don't have the felony and, what's the other one? Misdemeanor. We don't have that. So we call it a high risk stop. But we do have that, and they operate very, very similar, just called different, is we don't use 10 codes. So, although you'll probably notice some people in the server using 10 codes, it's just because it's an American game and people are very much in the zone of using them.
What's your favorite vehicle you've ever, like, driven or you've ever been in that's, like, law enforcement?
So, what we're actually driving right now, I guess, is a vehicle like it. So, I'm not quite sure what this is, but in real life, it would be a Western Australian paddy wagon. But yeah, so it would be a car that certainly looks like the one that we're in right now. What we're coming up on here now, it's actually something we have in Australia, which is a part of our road policing. So it's a part of the highway patrol. This is what's called an RBT. It stands for Random Breath Test. So this big bus here is called the booze bus, and essentially what happens here is people drive up to it and they get stopped, essentially, by the police. They ask them to stop and they will breathalyze them. And they're checking to see if people are driving under the influence. So that could either be from drugs or alcohol. If it comes up as being over the legal limit, or say drugs are not legal here in Australia. So if at all for drugs, you'd go inside of that big bus, the booze bus, and it essentially has better equipment and more accurate equipment of what the officer's holding. So, that's a cool little demonstration there of just something we have and something we do. It's meant to be a deterrent to people. At any time, anywhere, they could make a turn and suddenly there is a section stationed to check. And typically they'll do it on nights where there's an event, things like that, because there are much more people.
I guess that's a little bit more like helpful in terms of like the actual like road cops like conducting these type of things, because for road cops to know that you're illegally like over the limit, you'd have to like reckless drive, or like you'd have to do something that isn't correct?
Exactly, yeah. And so another feature of the RBT, what's happening with this officer here, they have cars on there doing exactly what's happening here, where if someone tries to go through the RBT, or if they try and take a turn to avoid it, or they do a U-turn, then there'll be takedown vehicles to also go after it. Because, of course, someone's not going to do a UE if they're doing everything perfectly. So, much like what you see this officer doing, they would pull you up and, I mean, firstly, they'd probably ask you why you decided to turn around, especially if it was an illegal U-turn or all of that. But yeah, essentially they would do what the officers are doing at the checkpoint, but for you, essentially there. I'll turn the
So you're
lights
getting
on there.
pulled over
Actually.
because you went through it.
So I went through it at that point. So normally what happens is, those cars would be stationed in positions where if someone tries to avoid the checkpoint, then it would go after them, essentially. So you can see there are many places someone could avoid going through that.
Yeah.
You know, I could have made the turn to go down this road, and that car would then go after us. And of course, in real life, there'd be more.
Yeah, so it's like 100% mandatory. Like there's no skipping it or anything. Like they really want to keep the road safe.
Exactly. It's all about safety.
Yeah, I think that's a plus within Australia. Like we should have those because there's so many like people who drive over the influence, like especially after big events too. Straight towards this fire. Let's see how this fire is operating. Maybe you could stop there, help the traffic or something.
Maybe, yeah. Let's turn the lights. Let's make sure the it's maybe. Oh,
Huge building.
well, that's also ironic. We
Wow.
can. I reckon what we do. Let's go over near the cafe here. Bit of a pursuit going on. Let's go near the cafe and block it off here because people. That's a safety issue.
Let's just take a little walk around, see how everything's going. Yeah, I don't want to get too close to this fire.
Got a lot more hot all of a sudden.
So you got rescue, a ladder. Honestly, I like the FD liveries for this server.
They're pretty nice. So this is New South Wales, Sydney. So this is the Sydney server. I'm based down in Western Australia, so it's a little bit different, but
Yeah.
you know, yeah. Quite similar.
So what is the NSW? Because it says it on there. New South Wales?
Yes.
Okay.
NSW is New South Wales.
So are weapons
Oh, it seems
legal
to
in
be-
Australia? Like open carry?
I mean, it really depends about what state and what weapon. We tend to be decently strict. Like, we're even so strict, I believe it is only Queensland that even allows gel blasters. But, you know, we, for the most part, guns are not legal unless you have, like, a proper reason to have it, such as, you know, being a farmer. But like for the most part, yeah, it is not allowed. It's forbidden.
Alright.
In most states they've even banned gel blasters and airsoft, unless it is like a formal business, like a gun range or, you know, like an airsoft place. Those would probably, they can get like I don't know, some type of pardon because if they're a business, but you know, for the most part, it's pretty tight knit here. We don't allow.
All right, well, I think that's gonna wrap our patrol up here, producer. Thank you so much for joining me. It was a pretty fun experience.
Yeah, enjoyed it a lot. Thanks, man.
Yeah, I really got to learn a lot about Australia. Honestly, I did not know about half of the stuff that was said in the video, so this guy is also
He's done something wrong. He's getting arrested.
Peter Griffin's been in the gym.
Peter Griffin.
But yeah, thank you to Sydney Roleplay for allowing us to do this, owned by Pickles, if you guys want to check it out. Server should always be listed. Code is Sydney, if you do want to end up checking it out. But yeah, I'll see you all in the next video.